General Motors' next generation car aspirations may be taking a hit because the head of its autonomous driving efforts stepping down. Talk to us about what this, the stock is down almost 6%. We just showed it a minute ago, Sozzi. Looks like people not too happy about this.
Yeah, we could follow this under Bizarro land because Dan Ammann, the CEO, or now the ex-CEO of their autonomous division, Cruise, he just presented at the company's investor day a couple weeks ago, putting out some very aggressive forward targets, 1 million autonomous vehicles on the roads by 2030, big revenue targets from him, and now he's out. I think it's really indicative of two things that really at the core show that GM, it's typical GM stuff where they overpromise and underdeliver. And the two reads for me is one, well, perhaps GM is not likely to reach those autonomous driving plans that Dan Ammann laid out at Investor Day by 2030. It's tough to put out cars that could drive no human beings behind the wheel in many markets. So, of course, this is going to be a big challenge to meet very aggressive headline-grabbing numbers like Ammann put out. And number two, the street, Julie, had been pushing General Motors to spin off Cruise, notably Emmanuel Rosner, who we've talked to before over at Deutsche Bank. Spin off this division. It is a cost, it's a center for a lot of costs that GM doesn't essentially need. Rosner estimated about a year ago this division could be worth $20 billion to $100 billion here. I believe GM's market cap is close to $83 billion here. So GM might be sitting on untapped value here the departure of Ammann might suggest that they're not even thinking about spinning off Cruise. So just, again, bizarro land, Julie.
You know what the story tells me, as well as some of the other stories that we've been hearing from these efforts? Like, we got way ahead of ourselves on this stuff. And when I say we, I mean the markets, I mean probably the automakers themselves in terms of managing expectations. The autonomous technology is clearly not yet there to be fully autonomous. It's just not. If it was, it would be happening. And it's mostly not happening, except in very isolated use cases. And yet, there is all of this enthusiasm around autonomous driving. Tesla's so-called autopilot is not really autopilot, as we know. It's not, it's not full autonomous driving. And when people have tried to use it as full autonomous driving, they've crashed. So, there's all this baked in terms of market expectations. You have to wonder if the company that has gotten this right here is Apple, by not coming out with stuff and right, by not making promises, by not saying really anything on this. Is Apple perhaps being the wisest of them all because the tech is not ready?
Yeah, and really, Julie, GM is the king at blowing smoke in the face of investors. I mean, you have a lot of extremely well-compensated people there that just want to get a good headline and send that story up to the CEO, CFO, and various other executives here. But it's going to be hard to build out a fleet of 1 million autonomous vehicles by 2030 when our infrastructure in this country is not even set up to handle cars with no human beings behind the wheel. So totally ridiculous.